Now, the next brainwave is the one that most adults in the world are missing. It's called theta.
Wow.
By the way,
before we get onto theta, is something interesting. As you're speaking, there's just so many things that are popping in my mind. But I've just been in Cyprus. My parents live there, and we spent so much time at the beach, and we spent so much time in the sea and so much time in the sun. The weather was gorgeous. My daughter of 6 just loves it. She's a different person. My sleep scores on my aura improve when I'm in the sea. Just that frequency, because everything's resonating at a frequency. Now that's changing alpha. And that's why, is that why the sleep's improving, the well-being's improving, just the feelings of sort of, this oxytocin is being released? Is that what's happening when you just change the environment to that degree?
Yeah, what's happening if you stay in a beta state, like you're staying in the city, which most cities operate around 15 to 22 cycles. That's why their nervous energy, like going into London or something like that, or New York City or something, you're like, what's going on? What's going on? That's, in your body, the cell danger response happens. And it's like stuffing out a fire, that mitochondria. But when you're in an open space, now you got energy flow, you're relaxed, and you're not, when you're in that, like almost like balled up like a baby or something like that, when you're in the high beta, you don't have that flow and the energy builds up. When you're in alpha, especially when you're in the ocean, you're grounding. The best way to ground is in salt water. I mean, we're like batteries. So now you've got this connectiveness to the ocean. I mean, I live next to the ocean here. So that's one of the best ways to ground and to do it. So yeah, you're in the right place. And, that's why people want to go, they go on these vacations, they'll spend all this money to go to these places like Cyprus or Hawaii or Southern California or wherever they want to go, or our beach here, Atlantic Beach. People will go there, they'll spend the whole day there, just sitting out, baking in the sun, just because of the payoff.
Yeah.
And then what happens is now that brainwave is it's not too bad. It's from about 12 cycles to 15 cycles, depending upon the books you read. But then when you get to theta is the one that most adults are missing. The reason that they're missing it and why 2/3 of the world isn't sleeping is theta. It's not delta. Theta is the one that produces GABA. GABA is a precursor for DMT. So DMT they call it the God molecule, because a lot of people, when they've signaled that during death, that's when you have the greatest release of DMT in the body. So but what happens is that helps you to dream. And we have a natural propensity to want to escape this physical reality, because there's all the rules, all the regulations. So when you lay in bed, if you lay in bed and all you do is ruminate about all the problems, then the brain can't get into that. We call it the inventive state. So when you get into theta, that's where all the great inventors, from Edison, Einstein, Tesla, all these people, even Elon Musk probably, all these people, they are able to go into this realm that's basically an infinite realm of possibility. There's no restrictions there. That's when people say, I had a dream, I was flying, and all of these things. And by the way, if you've ever had a dream where you were stuck in it and you didn't feel like you could get out of it, and then you finally did, you were in delta. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So theta is when you get the release from that dream, and you go, I'm glad that's over. But that dream only lasted 7 seconds, the average dream. So when you start getting deeper into alpha and theta, there is no time. The time domain that we play in beta, time only happens there. Also, when you get into alpha and theta, you have more control over pain. Like when I went through painless surgery, where they did a shoulder surgery with no anesthetic. They just took a piece of my collarbone, put it over here with a screw through it. And my dad trained me through the Silva method to go into a pain-free state, and they did the surgery. And I've taught a lot of people over the years to do that, because we are far more powerful than people have told us about. But we have to have the training. You just can't, the day of the surgery, you can go, hey, teach me how to do that. You've got, it's kind of like if you wanted a pro footballer to go out there the day of the game, they've never practiced, they've never seen, like Ted Lasso, the show, they brought in a guy from American football to teach soccer. It's hilarious because of all the quirks that he doesn't know. So that's what happens to us. So theta is very hard to train to, because a lot of people talk about it on the internet, but I've only seen it in a very few people. And I've got to measure gurus' brains, and some of them don't get to theta. So a lot of people will say, I'm getting to theta, I'm so deep. I've only had 3 people in the history of time beat the BrainTap in depth of meditation and length of time. And these were gurus in India. That's what they do. I mean, they spend their whole day meditating. Most people they have a monkey mind and they're going crazy. They stay in high beta. That's why they don't meditate. Only 5% of the world meditates after they've learned how, because it's too hard for them because that beta brain. Now, delta is really necessary. That's our sleep state we think of, but it's also where we rest, digest, and all those things. It's when our body does all the really work. It's where our brain processes all those daily memories, categorizes, organizes them, puts them into an efficient way for us to access them in the days to come. If we don't get that deep sleep too, there's a part of the body. In 2016, there's a magazine called American Scientific. And for those looking it up, page 45, you can go there and there's a article there that says, the science has now found that we have a new system in the body. Now, that's impossible, right? Our physiology didn't change overnight. It's always been there. But they never measured, or they never looked at the glial lymphomic system or the lymph system while somebody was sleeping. As soon as they did, because if you go to before 2015, there's no physiology book that has the lymph system going beyond the shoulders. But now they've changed that because they know when you reach level 4 sleep, this glial lymphomic system that cleans the brain. So what happens during sleep is the spinal fluid washes over the brain, and that's what detoxes. So every night your brain shrinks about 3/4 of an inch from detoxing. That's why in the morning I always recommend getting up, drinking at least 20 ounces of water with some kind of mineral salt, because we need to hydrate. We dehydrate the brain. But that sleep cycle, that's where serotonin comes in. So if you're not getting the deep sleep, then you're not getting the serotonin you need. And of course, what do they do in the pharmaceutical industry is they think they can give you serotonin. Yeah. The reality is that they can never give you enough. One good night's sleep is about $30,000 worth of serotonin. So you can just get enough. So we have the world's greatest pharmacy between our ears. We just have to activate it. We can activate it, any one of those 30,000 neurochemicals with the right thought, with the right condition, with the right environment. But you can't just do it, you got to practice it. That's where brain fitness comes in.